Hi there. I am Danny Gregory, and this is Draw With Me, and you are here, hopefully, to draw with me and all the rest of us. So thanks so much for showing up. It is Thursday, October 15th, and normally it is noon Eastern Standard Time when and where we meet, but I'm no longer on Eastern Standard Time. I'm now more or less permanently on what is sort of known as Mountain Time here, although it's also known as Pacific Time. Phoenix, which is where I am now, is somewhat of a maverick state, befitting the former Senator John McCain, and they do not abide by daylight savings time. So the time never changes here. So we never roll the clocks forward or back, which is interesting and something I'm going to get used to. But it's definitely getting darker earlier here, and the sun is rising later. But anyway, yes, here I am after traveling across the country in the midst of a global pandemic. I'm not sure if you knew about that, but yeah, there's been one going on for a while, 6 months and a couple of days into this fine thing. So I flew on a plane a couple days ago. My second time I've flown on a plane since the pandemic. Can't say I recommend it. It's not as awful as it could be, I guess, but it's certainly not a relaxing, fun thing to do unless you really have to. We considered driving back across the country, but that also seemed fraught with danger and discomfort. So we decided to get it over with as quickly as possible. And so far, everything seems to be fine. So it is time to draw. And you'll be glad to know that the leaf blower guy is here. He's standing by. He's waiting for the most inopportune time. Inopportune? Yes, inopportune time to come in. So in the meantime, let us talk about what we're going to do today. I changed the theme of today's kind of exercise at the last minute. My wife says, "Oh, I have to button my shirt." See, I'm not used to, and now that I'm like sort of one of these Western guys, I can walk around with a lot of kind of Burt Reynolds chest hair, but apparently not. My wife has just told me to tighten up. Yes. So, what was I talking about before I was distracted? Anyway, I changed the theme because I had this vague idea that it might be interesting to do something vaguely related to the president election. And then I was walking this morning. I thought, you know what, this is stupid. Who cares? Nobody wants to draw that. We were going to draw George Washington, figuring that would be not too controversial, but we're not. We're not going to. We're going to just pretend that for the next hour or so, we don't have to think about that. We just have to think about drawing. And that is probably as it should be. So, at the last minute, I changed the theme to today's theme. I'll tell you what it is. So, now my son, who lives in Los Angeles, his name is Jack, is an independent fellow. He's 26 years old. And generally, I'll hear from him every week or two. We'll have a phone call, and he'll text me now and then. But every so often, I'll get a phone call from him out of the blue. Because he only calls me, "Hey, Dad," when there's something that he needs very specific help from me, and often more from my wife, Jenny, who's better with these things. And in this particular case, he called me a few days ago to tell us that he had just been in a car accident. He's fine, don't worry. He was in a car accident, and he was calling me like minutes later, and he said, "What do I do?" I've never been really in a car accident, knocking wood. So I wasn't entirely sure, but my wise wife said, do this and do that. So he did. And the car that he drives is, used to belong to us. It was our car when we lived in California. So it's like the family car. It's the one car we own. And now it was totaled. What is going on out there? Let me show you. There's the car. Totaled. Yes. It's sad to me to look at this picture. I feel like it's like a friend. We drove across country twice in this car. 2013 Ford Focus. But it was not his fault at all. Some guy just did something stupid and totaled his own car as well. Jack fortunately was fine. The other guy was fine too, but both the cars were not in bad shape. So he's now gone. He's now getting a new car. There's really just nothing that can be done with this car. It's really bent. But I thought, let's draw it. Are you with me? We've drawn cars occasionally, and a lot of times we say, oh, the car's kind of wonky. So I thought, well, let's draw a wonky car. A car that's wonky in the first place. Right? That would seem like a good idea. We have the perfect excuse for drawing wonkiness. So I see that you're all sympathetic, and I see that you're giving us a lot of advice. Unfortunately, it's way too late. This car has already been towed to a tow yard, and is God knows where it is now. But it's all been handled. Everything has been okay. But it was a life lesson for all of us, I think. And it was high time, honestly, that he got rid of this car. It really isn't appropriate for the kind of life that he leads, driving around, going camping, and hauling stuff for his job. So it's okay. It's not a tragedy. But I feel anthropomorphically sad for our little Ford Focus. And so I wanted to draw him. Are you with me? You don't have to draw him. You don't have to draw her, it. The Focus, as we call it. You don't have to draw this car at all, but I'm going to. So let's do it. Let's do it. If you want to draw something completely else, just draw with me. You don't have to draw what I'm drawing, okay? But I thought this would be fun. So let's start by going over here and getting a little bit organized. One thing I noticed is I took all of my colored pencils with me on the trip, and I put them all into a Ziploc bag. And now they need to be put back in their beautiful case. These are my lovely Derwent Inktense pencils that I just think are the best pencils ever. They're really amazing, and I love this set very much. And I don't know about you, but one of the pleasures of having sets like this, to my OCD mindset, is organizing them in colors of the spectrum. That's one of the fun things about it. I'm sorry. You might say, oh, don't bother, don't get all fiddly. But I like doing it. I like organizing these pencils. So you can start drawing the car if you want, or drawing something else, or just having your coffee or whatever it is you're doing. But I'm going to just spend a minute or two organizing these guys. And I always kind of, what is the appropriate sequence when you're arranging colored pencils? For instance, do you go from yellow to orange to pink to red? Or do you stay in terms of tone? Do you say, I'm going to do all the light colors, light tones together? I think I'm going to kind of do it in a sort of rainbow way. This may strike you. If you're new to draw with me, you might say, what is wrong with this guy? What is he doing? But think of it as sort of maybe it's because of the last few weeks of my Marie Kondoing in my condo. Well, actually it's a co-op where we're getting rid of stuff and arranging stuff to get packed. So I'm finding great delight in order these days and seeking order in this chaotic world. So to me, even organizing these pencils is somehow soothing and helps me with whatever point of the spectrum I happen to be. So yeah. Anyway. Oh, Diane has them numbered. Yes, I could see that. But what if your sequence changes? Why can't your sequence change? Why can't you say, you know what, today, let me just change it slightly? You know, this reminds me, when I was a boy, I used to like to rearrange my bookshelves. I had this bookshelf at the foot of my bed, and I would rearrange the books. And sometimes I would arrange them in, you know, the obvious way to arrange them, alphabetically by title, or arrange them by author, alphabetically, or arrange them by, you know, subject matter. But I would also arrange them sometimes by color. So, for instance, I had a lot of Penguin books. Do you remember Penguin had, they used to have the adult novels, I think, were orange. History was blue. Puffin books, which were children, was light blue. And so forth. So some modern fiction, I think, was black. So I would arrange all those books in those colors. And again, that would just give me some sort of sense of, I don't know, all's right with the world. So as you can see, my system is a little wonky. I have various dark shades, even though the purples and greens are all at the end. Okay, what a wonderful accomplishment. What are we going to do today, Sarah? We are arranging colored pencils by the spectrum. And now we're not going to use colored pencils anymore, so never mind. Instead, we're going to use sketchbooks. We are going to draw this unfortunate creature, forward focus. I'll make it a little bit smaller. Hopefully it's still big enough for you. So, yeah, what pen should I use? I've been enjoying this pen a lot recently, this Tombow calligraphy pen. So I think I'll just stick with him, or her, or it. I've drawn this car a few times before, but never, obviously, in this condition. Yes, it's painful. I never really thought of a car sort of dying before. I've never actually been the last owner of a car, I don't think, before. I haven't owned too many cars, but generally I pass them on in some way to other people. And this is the first car that I can say, like, yeah, I mean, I guess I pass it on to Jack, so I'm not really the last owner of it, but yeah, it's unfortunate to be. I know that it's going to go to a better world. I think actually it's probably going to be auctioned off, and its parts will live on. So it's kind of like some kind of a donor car, you know. So maybe parts of it will be on the road for many years to come, which is nice to think about. And so that's the optimist in me thinking that maybe it'll be squished. So they always do in the movies, right? Very dramatically turn it into a cube of steel. Maybe that's what will happen to it. But then, you know, that's not necessarily the end of the road, as it were, for the Focus either. It might, it might be a lot of things. It might be your next phone, or it might be I don't know, my next pair of glasses. This is interesting because, again, it's one of these great things to draw because you really have to observe what you're drawing. You can't assume that you know, because who really knows what a broken car wheel looks like off the top of their head? You don't know. You have to really look at it which often makes for the best kind of drawing experience, because you say, you know what, I'm not going to take anything for granted. I'm really going to pay attention here, and I'm going to notice every detail, make sure that I record everything that I am actually seeing. So. See, I like all these little shapes within shapes. Quite nice to draw. Little nuts around the center part. I've taken this wheel off this car. I've got a flat tire a couple times, so I'm familiar with that part of it. You know, I wonder if this is sort of the equivalent of like, you know, when somebody dies, and at least this used to be the case, that, you know, you would have to prepare the body. Family would be responsible maybe for washing the body the last time, putting it into its final clothes that it's going to be buried in. Sorry, this is very morbid, but it's part of life and death. The tricky part here, drawing this door. I'm going to talk a little less now so that you can more clearly hear the leaf blower. Yes, thank you. So I don't want to interrupt, because it's right outside the window now, of course. So. Do you need me to turn the mic up, or are we able to hear it? Good. It sounds particularly lovely today. Although I have no complaints, because I have to say, after coming back from New York City, leaf blower it's beautiful. It's like listening to Haydn or with a concertgebouw orchestra playing, you know, live. It's just beautiful, and far less disturbing than angry cab drivers or fire engines or drunken people coming out of the bars at 3 a.m. So surprisingly is going on again in New York. I guess that's a good thing. I guess it's good. Shows that we're returning to normalcy in some way. But, you know, it's certainly interrupted our sleep. We slept extremely poorly the entire time we were in New York. And, you know, I mean, there were just a lot of things going on with us. So, not really that surprising, but it was a tense time being back in New York City. You know, I think if you all do drawings of this car, I can really annoy my son by sending them all to him. Maybe to send him like every day. I could just send him a different one. Oh, somebody else has drawn the smashed up car. Oh, look, here's a nice one. Yes, now I know what to get for your birthday. I'm going to give you the giant blow up print that I did. That is a composite of all the hundreds of drawings that people did of the car after it was destroyed. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I don't want to torture him. He wasn't at fault, but it is kind of funny. I'm that kind of a dad who sort of like teases and tortures his son, when I can. Doesn't have that great of a sense of humor about it, but this is tricky. There's some very interesting angles here that I'm already kind of getting wrong, and there's certainly distortion because of the perspective, compounded by the fact that the car's been smashed, so that doesn't help matters, but. Let me just move this down a bit because I can't really see what the top of this looks like exactly. Okay. Yeah, I got that right. More or less. It looks relatively wonky. I think it doesn't look quite as wonky as the actual car, though. It's really only this front wheel that really reveals the wonkiness, but it's also compounded by the fact that it's shot really early in the morning. It was like, he called me, it was like 5 o'clock in LA. So he was on his way to work, and then suddenly he wasn't. Fortunately, they were very understanding, and it all worked out. All right, that's not too bad. Quite pleased with that. I mean, not pleased is probably the wrong word. Oh yes, this is wonderful. I'm so glad that I could draw this smashed up car. Yes, so nice. He sent me a picture of the car that he's going to buy this week to replace it. So all's well that ends well, I guess. Should we give it a bit of a shadow? There's the shadow of that mirror sticking out. See, I like it when something like this, like you see this mirror is kind of not really out, doesn't really look like that three-dimensional, but then when you look at the shadow, you see how it sticks out, and that's quite pleasing. That's this bit, whatever that is. So yeah, what's going on here though? Get that right? Okay, I think that's it. There you go. I hope this is useful. I hope that next time you have to draw a smashed up car, you can go, oh, now I know exactly how to do that. Now I know exactly how to just show that. There's a concept in Japanese culture, I guess you would say, wabi-sabi, meaning a thing, how things show the wear and tear of life. That having a brand new shiny thing is not nearly as aesthetically pleasing as having something that shows, the effects of time upon it, right? The scratches, the wear, the fact that things have rubbed out, all those things add to its aesthetic pleasingness, wabi sabi. And I like that idea a lot. It's like, because it's true that when you draw something, it's far more interesting, and I think pleasurable to draw something that is distressed. To draw, an old face that shows the ravages of time, rather than drawing, a fashion model or something. That it's much more, it's more emotionally engaging. So rather than drawing a brand new car straight out of the showroom, to draw a car that your son destroyed. There's a story to it now. This is a story. I've drawn this car before, usually in a context though. Like I drew it when we drove cross country, and I wanted to sort of indicate all the things that we had packed into it, and I want to talk about how much gas we put into it, and all the things that we had done, that this car had done for us, because, it drove all that way. And in fact, ironically, the history of this car is also that when my son first moved to Los Angeles, it was just a couple weeks after he had graduated from college. And being a New Yorker, he had never had a driving license. And so he passed his test and got his license a few days before he and I were set to drive all the way across country. So he ended up doing most of the driving. I think he had sort of 10 or 15 hours worth of driving experience before we got set off on the road. And then we drove to Los Angeles in 6 days, and he became a pretty good driver, like just on that trip in this car. And he's driven it ever since. So this car has really been a part of his life. I want to talk to him this weekend about how he feels about that. How does he feel about this old trusty friend of his being gone? That's sort of what I was thinking about as we were packing up all the stuff in my house. And we walked out of the door of that apartment on Tuesday morning. And I suddenly realized as I was walking out the door that this was the last time I was going to be in that apartment. I'd been there. Jack was a year old when we moved in there. Patty was obviously still alive, and so many things happened in that apartment. And I was literally, as the elevator doors were closing, I was thinking, like, this is it. Like, this is the last time I'll ever be here. And it probably is. This is like almost a half of my life was spent there, and now it's gone. It's not gone, but it's not part of my life anymore. I have another life, different life, sitting here with the leaf blowers. So, all right, I don't want to overdo it. I think I've gotten it done. And I'll write about it. I was going to write about it now. I think I won't. Or maybe I will. What should I write? Well, I'm going to take my Marmite bottle. I'm going to move this picture out of the way now. I'm going to make it smaller, just in case you're still drawing from it. But I need some space, man. Lord. Watch, I'm going to pop this open and spill ink everywhere. No, apparently not. Okay, that's good. Okay, got it. Got the bottle open. And so this bottle is my inkwell. Ink. And this is my dip pen. Let's see what I'm doing here. Dip pen, meet inkwell. So what should I write? Another funny thing is Jenny realized that this accident happened to this car. I think it was one day off the 7th anniversary of when we bought it. So it lasted exactly 7 years. But this is how things work, right? That you end an era. Okay. Feeling a little verklempt. It is a little sad. It is. Passing of an era. So anyway, that's my story about this. And, I like to have this in my sketchbook because my sketchbook is the record of my life, So, what kind of ink am I using? I'm using Black Cat India ink from Blick. Buy it by 16-ounce jugs, and I guzzle it by the gallon. Well, by the pint. I like it. It's black. So, all right. Well, as JJ points out, all the cells in one's body renew after 7 years. It's true. So we replace all of them, and we've replaced our friend the focus too. Yes, I often think about that. That my memories are old, but my cells are new. Wouldn't necessarily know that by looking at them, but I'm feeling spry and youthful, bristling with collagen. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. Sorry if it was personal today, so maybe you were able to catalog some passing of your own in your sketchbook today, or maybe you just drew with me, commemorated the focus. If you did, and you would like to share it with me, I would love to see it. You can just simply post it on social media and put this hashtag SBS Draw with me, and then we can find it, and I can share it with Jack. Speaking of sharing, every Friday I write an email that I send out to people who've signed up for my list, Danny's List it's called, and I write about all kinds of stuff. What have I written about this week? This week I've written about a memory and a fantasy about creativity that you might find enjoyable, and I would gladly send you this essay and another one next week and one the week after that, and so on, until all of our cells have been replaced. Just go to sketchbookschool.com/Danny's-list, sign up, and you can get it. You can also, if you'd like, text with me. Yes, here's my number. Let me put it here so you can see it clearly. Okay, 919-298-8117. Text hello to that number, and we can start a texting relationship with each other. I text stuff every day, just about. Drawings that I've done, interesting things that I've found, stuff to keep you motivated, to keep you fighting your monkey, stuff that, just reminds you to do a drawing if you need a reminder. And, you can always text me back, tell me what you did, tell me what you're thinking, answer some questions, or ask some questions, or maybe answer them too, whatever you'd like to do. It's a way of being in touch that I think is nice. So, you can do those two things, and we can continue this dialogue that we've begun here over the smoldering wreckage of the Ford Focus. And I look forward to meeting you in this virtual way and being in touch. One of the things I like about Draw With Me is there are several things I like about it, and I hope that you like them too. One of the things I like about it is it's nice to just have an appointment every week to draw, to just say, you know what, let's meet up on Thursday at noon and just draw for a little while. If you do no other drawings, do that one. That's nice. Another thing I like about it is the chance to be with you and all the rest of us here, to talk, to chat. Drawing is like, it doesn't have to be a grim, solitary affair that you're grinding out in some atelier. No, you can do it with friends, and that's what this is about. Hanging out together, drawing together, kibitzing, sharing advice on what to do if you get into a car accident, or what pen to use, or how to overcome a drawing difficulty, whatever it is we want to talk about. It's so nice to do it while we're drawing. It's just relaxing. It's just a fun experience. So that's another thing that I like about Draw With Me. And every so often we do pretty good drawings, right? I mean, I know you guys do. I see them on social media. I see them in the schoolyard. They're great, and it's great to see different interpretations of the same thing, to be able to see, like, oh, look at all these different wrecked cars that people have drawn, or whatever it is. You learn from seeing how other people tackle the same problem. That is part of the joy of drawing. I mean, I think about this quite often, how lucky I am that I started to draw. How it's this thing that's always unfolding, has so many aspects to it. It's so rich and complex and beautiful. It helps me to express my emotions. It helps me to resolve problems. It helps me to see the world around me. It helps me to have fun. It helps me to make friends. And there's just so many ways of drawing. There's so many tools to use. There's so many things to draw. Composing pages, writing stuff. It's just endless. It's so interesting. And it's possible to forget it. You can just not remember that it's this much fun. Or you can get all twisted up about whether you're any good, and whether your drawing's any good, and that just ruins the fun. The fun is just doing it, not judging it. So I would just say, as Thistle says, it's magic, and it is magic. It's a magical experience because you're making something out of nothing, which is magical. You're transforming the world around you with the power of your brain. That's magical. You are pushing away problems. You're pushing away leaf blowers. You're zooming in on this experience, and the rest of the world is fading away, you know? So all these things are, there just aren't that many things in life that give you that, you know? And these are things that we all knew about. When did we know about them? When we were little, right? When we were 4, 5, 6, 7, when we would sit for hours at the dining table or the kitchen table or lying on the carpet with crayons and coloring books and exercise books and scraps of paper, just drawing and making and having fun and playing games. It's like the first experience we've had like that, back in the time when we were unself-conscious, when we were in love with the world, when we weren't fearful, when we weren't worried about what would be, but we were happy to be where we are, you know, and we realized like the enormous power and sort of infinite resources that exist between our ears, the things that we can make, you know, that we could just keep playing and keep doing it. That is still available to us. There's no reason we can't do that. You're not going to sell those things. You're not going to publish those things. You're not going to get millions of likes on Instagram for those things. You might, but that's not the point. The point is to take out your crayons and to draw anything. You can draw a smashed up car. You can draw what you ate for breakfast. You can draw your face in the mirror after 6 months of a global pandemic. You can draw anything. You can draw things that are in your mind. You can make up characters. It just goes on and on and on. So if you're just watching me and listening to me, but you're not doing it, join me. Join me in doing this thing. And by doing it together, we have the same fun that we had when we were 5 or 6 or 7, right? That's a typical thing for kids to do, is to sit together and draw. And we can still do that. And we will again next Thursday. So thank you all for being here. If your wonky car looks even wonkier, right on. If your wonky car looks exactly like the photograph, right on. It doesn't really matter. We had this fun together. We had 45 minutes of tranquility. So we'll have it again next Thursday. Come up with something to take our minds off the world and to enjoy time together. And I'll see you then. Every Thursday at noon. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you then.